Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Queen of Fertility 33. I'm here with another article. This is titled Slave Trade Routes. Okay, let's begin. African slave traffic. Okay, aka human trafficking and sex trafficking now. Come on now, make it make sense, y'all. 19th century, the 90s, okay, or the 2000s, okay. The history of slavery and the slave trade. 1857 in Columbus, Ohio. Section of the embarking canoe, which I already put in the video today. The slave auction. Okay. Newly arrived Africans. Okay, remember I told you. You were African if you turn on your own people. Okay. Or after 94 you became an African. So you better turn yourself into a nigga like me. Countless local and regional slave trades in Europe, Africa, and the Americas combined to create the transatlantic slave trade, an ever-evolving system of people, ships, and goods that deported at least 12.5 million Africans towards destination in Europe and the Americas over a period of 366 years. 12, 13, 14, 15, 15. So we're going 15, so 6. I forgot that this year is the 6th. Okay? I don't know. I'm going to look up it again. Okay. The forced migration of African captives relied upon three complex, intertwined systems that married the interests of Europeans and American investors, traders, and planters with those of African merchants and leaders. Okay? Black people turning on their own kind for these motherfuckers. So they don't want to die. Investors in such port cities as Bristol, Nantes, and Salvador de Bahia established Atlantic circuits along with their vessels could obtain captive laborers to supply commercial plantations, mines, or factories in the Americas. See, they need us. That's why y'all too dumb to see it. A second and equally complex system created by African traders and leaders moved captives from nearly all regions of the African interior to coastal markets where the two systems gradually merged and gave life to one another. A third system joined the others in the Americas as merchants purchased newly arrived Africans because they trying to see what we do with in new world ports and carry them to secondary markets in overland or intercolonial maritime trades that extended the horrific journeys of captives for weeks, months, or even years. Nearly one-third of all slave voyages was outfitted in Liverpool, London, Bristol, and other ports in Britain. French vessels from such ports as La Rochelle, Le Havre, Bordeaux, and Nantes made up another 13%. In the Americas, a number of slave ships. Thank you. I'm a smart slave. Thank you. Okay. British Caribbean and Rhode Island in North America, and in the 19th century, especially from the Brazilian port cities of Recife, Salvador de Bahia, and Rio de Janeiro. All told, 90% of captives deported in the transatlantic slave trade were carried in ships from Brazil, Britain, France, Portugal, and the Netherlands. Just as the circulation of European and American slave ships shifted according to supplies, prices, and political alliances, the movement of captives towards African coastal markets varied in scale and direction from place to place and over time. In nearly all instances, however, the sale of enslaved people to European traders was the result of a long and arduous journey through an intensive network of traders in the African interior. In Senegambia, for example, where Europeans purchased 6% of all captives In the transatlantic slave trade, enslaved people came from an immense area of West Africa. Why they say Atlanta gay, okay? Because James Martin was called the Atlanta boy killer, okay? So why they got Atlantic right there. Anyway, that's they trying to warn y'all, okay? That stretch from coastal regions drained by the Senegal and Gambia rivers to the mountainous Futa Toro, Futa Bendu, and Futa Jalan, and further east to settlements in the CI. In Senegambia and in other regions, the transport of more than 750,000 captives over land and water required an interstate system of arbitrators and food and supplies who literally kept the slave trade alive along its far-flung routes to the sea. Along the Gold Coast, which supplied 10% of all transatlantic captives, dozens of European forts and factories that we busting tapped into markets of enslaved people, which is the machines, who found themselves at the coast only after being sold and transported by any number of middlemen, black people, okay, or anybody that turning on, Most High, okay, beginning at far north at the Sahel region in today's Burkina Faso. For these people, their transatlantic journey would be yet another passage to endure since their initial enslavement weeks, months, or years earlier. Likewise, in Central Africa, where nearly half of our transatlantic captives originated, those forced upon ships in Luanda or along the Congo River came from increasingly distant parts of the interior. Okay, so it could be about monkeys as well. People sold from the Atlantic ports of Cabinina and Logana had also traveled great distances. Their movements from the interior tied to local Australian trades in ivory or salt, or to a greater degree, the arrival of European goods exchanged at the coast and transported east. Okay. East is bad, okay? They mean left, okay? Pay attention to that video I posted. In this way, the movement of, I post those pictures, so you gotta pay attention to the pictures, okay? This way, the movement of people towards the Central African coast mirrored a reciprocal trade in European goods in the opposite direction. African captives who survived the Middle Passage were scattered across ports throughout the Americas, okay? Undercovers, okay? Scholars have identified 179 such ports where more than 11 million Africans were transported by European slavers. But plenty of those ports received more than 8 million Africans. In Brazil, I'm finna mess this number up, 1,839 landed in Rio de Janeiro and a further 1,550,000 in Salvador de Bahia. Kingston, Jamaica received 886,000 Africans and 493,000 landed at Bridgetown, Bordeaux, Cap in Saint Domingo, now Haiti, with the disembarkation point for 406,000 Africans. In Charleston, South Carolina, United States, 186,000. These Atlantic ports was the points where enslaved Africans entered the third massive system that shaped the transatlantic slave trade. African arrivals were often quickly sold to planters or speculators on their way towards their final workplace. American colonies and frontier settlements of the Caribbean islands, the backcountry of the Carolinas in North America, and in the vast Brazilian interior demanded agriculture, domestic and skilled labors for their economic prosperity. In the Middle Passage, surged at the transatlantic slave trade's central artery, the escorted network of roads, paths, and waterways in the Americas that transported enslaved people from ports to plantations, mines, and cities, where the capillaries, much like the slave routes on the African continent that had ensnared the captives in the first place. Slave traders forced newly arrived Africans in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to trek across the continent to what became Bolivia, Ecuador, and Chile, a distance of more than 4,000 kilometers. So pretty. Remember I told you that. Traders transported enslaved people from island to island within the Caribbean, then from one location to another on the larger islands in Jamaica, Cuba, and Saint Domingo. Okay, as new settlements and crops open up interior locations. Okay, y'all been watching me. I've been telling you, it's a lot of people gone, man. Okay, because of this. What this meant was the colonial slave traders developed complex internal slave trading systems throughout the Americas. Some of them were longer and more protracted than the previous Atlantic Ocean crossing. Thus, the forced migration of Africans and their descendants neither became nor ended with the Middle Passage, though more than 1.5 million Africans died during the Atlantic crossing. Millions of enslaved people were shifted against their will, without their loved ones or visible reminders of home, first in Africa, then across the Atlantic, and in final passages throughout the Americas. Okay? So this is about the slave trade, okay? And they routes they take, okay? A lot of people gone, okay, y'all? Stay prayed up, okay? With the Most High, okay?